Hey, this is Craig Adcock with Table Ocho on the Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John and Pete.
Hey, this is Pete. I got Will here in the house, and we're at Craig's place. We're in the greater Kansas City area, and you are about to hear about Craig Adcock, who you might have actually already enjoyed some of Craig's delectables. He's in the one of these things he does. He's in the rum cake business. Tell us a little bit about Jude's Rum Cakes, how that got started, and where we're going with that.
I used to cater years ago, and I still try to cater right now. But I needed a dessert, so the rum cake was born probably 1995, and it's kind of grown year over year, and we try to support local. And 10 years ago, we did like 80 cakes, and then this year we hit like 34,000.
Man, 34,000 cakes. Holy cow. Can you wear out a bunt ring? Just for making...
Luckily I have friends at Nordic Wear. So nice. Nordic Wear always gives me some love and sends me the pans. And it's kind of fun. It's been a fun journey.
Where do you cook 34,000 cakes?
Right here. And for the people that can't see it, we're in a kitchen. It's like 925 square feet.
Yeah.
2 ovens, 1 assistant. She and I do everything. And it's, we still touch every cake, and most of my business is like individual. So direct to consumer, third, fourth quarter, about 30 restaurants around the nation. 34,000
cakes, though. I'm trying to do the math in my head. That's 1,000 cakes a day. Or something like that.
Maybe.
It's a lot of cakes.
It's a lot of cakes.
Yeah. So, okay. How do you make them all here in this?
Yeah. Yeah, wow. We kind of have our sequence down and our cycles down. So if we're doing the little bitty baby cakes, we can do 52 dozen in a 7-hour period. Okay. If we're doing the largest cakes, we can do 50 to 70 in a day. We just try not to stress.
So there's smaller ones as well as bigger full on. Yep. Okay, I got you. That makes more sense.
And throughout, I have four sizes, 1 flavor.
Right. Okay.
And we make our own rum this year, and our pecans come from 200-year-old orchards about 2 hours from Kansas City.
Oh man.
So, it's been kind of a fun little journey.
I like to think about the logistics of things like making the cakes, because 34,000 cakes means a lot of bags of flour. That has to sit somewhere. And that's got, like all the different moving parts. Like, if you were to win the lottery and you won $250 million, $1 million is basically like 3.5 feet high of $100 bills. And if they brought that money to you, like there'd be truck after truck after truck, like it's just when you break down the process and you realize just how much stuff it is, like when you make 34,000 cakes, you're going to wear out cookery. You're going to wear out a spatula. You're going to wear out,
Yeah, you're going to burn a batch here and there.
And,
your oven's going to go out, your element. And,
right.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about small business. It's kind of like a bad slot machine. The nickels turn into quarters turn into dollars. And, you just keep putting more in. But you got to love it.
So why your own rum? What happens? What makes that decision necessary?
We finally got to the point that it just made sense. Back when we were doing, just a handful. Like when I started, we were doing it literally out of our home, so I could do 4 cakes at a time.
Right.
And we're using, I'm a big believer in supporting local and quality products. So it's not an inexpensive cake. But that being said, you've got to start with a quality product. So I was using a Haitian rum back in the day. And then the earthquake happened, and that interrupted my supply chain. So then I worked with a company out of Tennessee. It wasn't a reciprocal relationship, and I really believe in the reciprocity. And then I started using rum out of New Orleans that after Katrina, they had like 12 barrels floating, old New Orleans, really good rum. And I was really happy with them, but it finally got to the point to where it just makes sense to bring it in-house and to make it ours. It's been about 10 years.
How does one learn that they need pecans from a 200-year-old tree in, northern Missouri or whatever? How do you get to that point? How do you know, like when you eat it? Like I eat a nut and I'm like, hey, that was tasty.
Yeah, well, we travel quite a bit. My wife and I do. So, and we're not like hot diners, but we like local, we like quality focus, and we like kind of farm to table type stuff all around the country. And you just start calibrating, like my catering. When I got into barbecue, it's kind of like you wanted to find out where you were in the line, Okay. It's kind of like I've got to taste all these other people's barbecue just to kind of calibrate me and see where I am.
Yeah.
Well, with the pecans, it's kind of like I used to get pecans out of Mississippi, and growing up, we had 25 pecan trees on our property. So we had a single cracker. So literally, no pecans.
Right.
And then it's just a matter of getting the flavor profile down. And with the old or the Nevada, Missouri pecans, they're just quality. And
is it partly to do with this, like the location? Like Napa has a certain okay, so
yeah, and the soil, the clay content, the dark soil, earth.
Are there nut experts that can do like wine where they're like, this was grown on the southern slope of?
I don't know. I'm sure there's nutty experts, but I don't know if there's nut experts or not. I'm sure there are. Maybe there's a niche for us.
Yeah, a nutty niche nutty niche expert. Yes.
The nutty niche expert.
So you guys buy pecans from 200-year-old trees. You try to buy local. Flour is local too, I'm assuming.
Yep, our mix. Yep, and then we're in the works. I've been trying for the last 2 years to make my own mix, my commercial mix.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have a couple of clients that would be like, "So you really don't make these from scratch?" I'm like, "I do 34,000 cakes. I can't really afford to do them at scratch,
right?
At this price point, I could, but you're not going to want to pay what the cake's going to cost."
Right. Yeah. What's the difference between a scratch quality cake and one that you buy that's not scratch? I mean, can Pete tell the difference when he eats it?
Maybe. I mean, with my product, I always say it's consistency, technique, and quality products.
Okay.
And like we have sugar, we have eggs, we have, so it's not like just like a mix that you just throw in the oven and call it a day. I mean, we actually, we individually make each cake.
Right.
So, and then mine's a little different. So like from a rum cake perspective, to tell the difference with mine, when it comes out of the oven, they're upside down in the pan. I flip them out of the pan and then I pour the simple syrup with rum, in it and put the cake back in the pan, let it absorb up. And then I flip it over after about 18 minutes, let it rest 24 hours. So, and you haven't had the cake yet. We'll have the cake.
I'm excited.
Maybe here a little later in the show.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got a process. You turn the cakes upside down, the simple syrup, all those things. And that obviously is something that you developed over time. Like, is it like Jude recipe number 27?
It's Jude used to make, Jude's my mother-in-law. So she used to make it, and that's kind of the way that we used to do it. And it was an old family recipe.
Okay.
Just basic, but
right.
We've kind of modified it a little bit over the years, just from the technique standpoint. And I think, some people would poke holes, some people would pour glaze over the top.
Sure.
Some people would literally pour rum over the top, over a set number of days.
Right.
With me, I like the simple syrup, and I like the way it absorbs when it's in the pan.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. You got to have a process of some kind, and if Jude had already developed it, you might improve upon it a little bit, but you've skipped the big work of figuring out what makes it special.
Yeah, but again, I think it's quality in, quality out. And even like when we have people come in and watch the process, they're like, holy hell, that's like a lot of freaking work. I'm like, well, yeah, but that's why the cakes I think are so good.
Right.
When you start half-stepping or cutting quality, then you turn into everybody else.
Yeah. Are you literally measuring every single thing out? Like, butter knife scrape the top of the measuring cup off?
I mean, I don't call myself a baker. I mean, I make a rum cake.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we measure everything, and it's important, when you're doing 80 cakes a year, it's not that big of a deal if you're off a little bit, but I have to forecast. We go through about 2,000 pounds, 2,500 pounds of pecans a year.
Right.
And I have to forecast our growth from last year on this year.
Yeah.
And,
are you good at forecasting or?
Yeah. I used to be in corporate America.
Oh, okay.
So I was in the military before, and we were like, subsistence was my specialty and logistics. Right. And then in corporate America, I was in operations. So yeah, like I know what it costs down to the ounce for my rum.
Right.
In each cake.
Right. And that's why, I need to make my own rum now because I'm going to save money. I'm going to contribute to the bottom line because not when you're early on, but now that you're at the size where you are, it makes sense. Is that right?
Yeah. And then, and you had the tangible aspects, but then also you had the intangibles to where, opportunities like this where you can share that.
Right.
And I think truly we're probably the only rum cake maker in America that's all American and that's making their rum.
Yeah. So do you end up bottling or kegging or casking, I guess you would do your own stuff, and you're going to sell your own brand? Or
Yeah. Right now it's kind of fun. I just got my first batch in about a month ago, and it's in kegs. So the rum's in kegs, and we have the old school party pump,
nice.
Kind of like back when we were in college.
Yes.
We can do some rum stands here in a little bit.
Yeah. I know a thing or two about rum myself. I used to be Captain Morgan model in Las Vegas. And so I always had some Captain's Reserve on hand, and
Very nice.
yeah, it was great. I always had rum all the time.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. There's some really great rums, and then there's some just really crappy rums. And when a lot of some of my liquor distributors come in, they're like, "Oh, you make a rum cake. I'm going to drop some rum off to you." I'm like, "All right."
Yeah.
And they drop just the shitty stuff off, and it's like, "What are you doing?" I mean,
Yeah. Well, they
this
probably
is
don't
not one of
understand.
my product, but
Right? Yeah.
B, it's kind of like this. Is
And do you want a spiced rum, or you want a white rum, or what kind?
I do an amber.
An amber,
So
okay.
I do, with the New Orleans one, I was doing a 3-year amber.
Mm-hmm.
So they take the rum and just leave it in the barrels for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're doing ours, we're accelerating it a little bit with some oak additives at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But when I make the cake, I burn the alcohol out. So with that rum, I need it specifically for the cake. We're going through about 700 gallons a year.
Right.
But when we start doing our own our own bottles for the rum, then yeah, we'll actually put it in oak barrels, let it sleep for an extended period of time. And, and then probably have a small production, not a huge production.
Will that bump up the quality of the cake, do you think?
Well, those probably won't go on the cake.
Okay.
Those will probably just be a standalone product. I mean, there may be opportunity to do a specialty cake. But
Yeah, like a Craig's Reserve special Jude's
maybe
cake.
something along that line.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so that's the cake end of it, but that's not the only thing you do.
Yeah.
You do quite a bit of other stuff. Talk to us about, heck, you take it from there. What do you want to talk about next?
Yeah, we drink a lot of wine. so,
Yes.
so
We're drinking wine right now.
Yeah, we are, and rosé at that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have a little catering company, so I get to travel and cook for a lot of winemakers and a lot of cool people around the country.
Mm-hmm.
Do some cool events in California and Florida, and that's what I like about like my businesses. It kind of keeps me fresh. I have 3 core businesses, and it's just kind of that magazine mentality, I call it, to where
Right.
I don't have a chance to focus on one all the time and get bored or complacent.
Right.
I get to jump around. So like in the last probably 12 weeks, well, actually the last 10 weeks, I've been out of town, 8 of them. So
Wow.
I've been to California, Mississippi for a week to hit all the blues marker. California was kind of planting seeds for caterings coming up, with winemakers. We're in Chile.
But
Been to
you're
Houston.
catering in California, but you live in Kansas City.
Yeah, but the wine's in California.
I got you. Okay. So explain what's happening there.
Yeah, so pretty much I go out and I do wine club dinners for some friends that
Okay.
make wine out there, Santa Barbara area, Paso area. Here recently I was in Napa and Sonoma.
Okay.
So we go out, I cook with some friends, I take some beef from Kansas City, from,
Right.
21-day dry age, just really badass beef. Take it out there, cook it up, and then just kind of, we pop corks and fire
Right.
stuff up. And then hopefully that leads into paying gigs.
Yeah.
You go back.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fun and games, but you got to pay the bills at the end of the.
You do have to pay the
month, right?
bills. Someone's got to write a check to make
Yeah.
that stuff worth your
Yeah,
while.
take
So
that
you'll
whole
go
thing.
out and you'll sample like what you're doing, like with the 21-year-old or 21-day beef at the winery, and then that will turn into, hey, let's have Craig come out and do another one of these, or let's pair
Yeah.
Craig with something else or whatever.
Yeah, luckily it's gotten to the point where it's not cold calling. It's where it's somebody's house and
Yeah.
a friend knows a friend, knows a friend. They're like, hey,
Okay.
this guy's from Kansas City. Why don't you swing by?
Wow.
And, and they show up and they're like, holy hell, I own a winery. Why don't we do this for our wine club? I'm like, why don't we? So-
Okay. So this makes sense. So let's say that, I don't know, Winery 15, because we don't have a wine sponsor. Winery 15 wants to do something like that. They call you up and say, hey, why don't you come out and let's do something together? And then the wine club people, like the higher end wine club people, get the exclusive invite. And now they're in there and they're drinking $100 bottle of wine. You're making beef. They're eating some rum cake potentially or whatever it's going to
rum
be.
cake's always on the menu. I usually do paella. I have a little mobile kitchen that I
Slow down. Paella.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's I have like a 3-foot pan. I have a mobile kitchen in California that I keep, so I have my
Yes.
knives out there. I have a 3-foot
Will, are you
pan
big
for
on paella?
I've had Craig
It's-
paella, and it's delightful.
Anybody who makes paella always starts with, "Oh, I have this pan." It's always that way.
The size of your pan, yeah.
Yeah. It's a special. Oh man!
But
God bless.
when we do, I think life is stressful and food and wine shouldn't be. So even when we do events, I like to keep it very, very low key, and I like an
Right.
extended period of time. Mm-hmm. So like Will and Laura came out to one of my events years ago, and I remember telling them, it's a beer dinner at my buddy Stretch's place, Grinders, and you'd get like 2 ounces. or whatever. I can't remember which beer it was that was partnering with us, which beer company. But I remember telling the people, I'm like, don't nurse that little 2 ounce for the next, you're going to get 5 2-ounce pours. Don't nurse it. Order a pitcher of beer, and in between, have it. Because the way I operate is we start at, say, 6 o'clock. First course is out, close to 7:30, and then last course comes out about 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Right.
And the grills are going at all the time. So, it's kind of what's happening now? Oh, you have salmon on barrel staves next. Oh, wow. Oh, what's this? Oh, it's a green chili risotto that you're doing in your paella pan. So it's, and it kind of keeps people active.
Right.
And it gives them that wow factor too from the winery, because the winery appreciates their clients. And then when the winery brings in, somebody from Kansas City or somebody from around the country, and they're not used to that kind of experience. Like I don't have any Schaefers, and I'm a caterer. I just don't believe in Schaefers. So it's just kind of my style, and to be able to do it my way is very special to me.
Yeah, we've had a couple of other chefs on, and same kind of philosophy about it's about the eating, it's about the fellowship, because your food can be great, but it's better like when it's shared amongst people that are all getting along, having a great time. That's really what makes it substantial. And having there really just aren't that many restaurants that can do that.
No, and it's not forced. I mean, the third business is my Table Ocho, and literally it's a table of 8. You either know everybody or you don't. My one rule is be nice or leave. So that's my experience too. Right. And we've done, it's in my commercial kitchen, so we have a lot of stuff happening here. Sure. But it's just me, so I can kind of shift gears. And with the dinners, we've done probably 250 of these in the last 3 years. Right. We haven't repeated a menu. So on the website, I'll share theme and dollar amount, and once it sells out, I call my farmer, see what's fresh, and then I figure out what the hell I'm going to cook. And I'm still going through my kind of 1950s, 60s Spain, Italy phase. Okay. So, and the older I get, it's more like start with the best quality product and just try not to mess it up. And, a little salt and pepper, olive oil, and that's it. When you're younger, you're pretty heavy-handed. You want everybody to know your name. You want everybody to know your style. Yeah. But then when you get older, it's kind of like you realize it's not about you. Right. It's like the food is kind of like the wine and the music, the background music. It's not all about that. It's how you make the people feel and how they leave feeling. Well,
you make people feel, I feel comfortable. I've known you.
Walk in and we pop a cork. I mean,
well, that's my kind of party right there.
Either we're going to drink fast, it's going to be a quick interview, or we'll pop another cork.
No, you were great at that. And then, so how did you learn? It's one thing to say, I just look at the fresh ingredients and I figure it out, and I make beans and with fresh onions and smoked tenderloin and goat's blue cheese or whatever. But you have to actually know how to make these things. Yeah. So, I mean, are you trained in somehow, or did you just pick it up on the way? Or
pretty much self-taught. I hang out with a lot of people. I always found myself in the kitchen, and I make mistakes. I mean, not as many, luckily, as I used to. Right. But I mean, I always call it reckless abandon. We've had a chance to cook at some pretty high-profile events around the country. So we've done South Beach Food and Wine. We've done a Food Network thing in Chicago. But the one in Miami, we did 300 2-inch thick cut Allen Brothers ribeyes. Traditional long bone. And we did them all over charcoal right there on the beach in South Beach. And then I did a 4-foot pan of paella. And my wife's like, what the hell are you? You've never done a 4-foot pan of paella, and you've never done 300 steaks at once. Yeah. And I'm like, well, shouldn't you push yourself when you know it's not going to suck.
I've also not done a 4-foot pancake of Captain Crunch and a big hang on until tomorrow morning. I found the best box of Captain Crunch ever.
Is that from a movie?
I don't know.
I think I recall this. Or maybe it was a flashback.
It could be a flashback. It could be. Actually, that's what place is that called? They do like the extreme farm food. They used to have a place out at the Legends. Twisted something or something like that. But they would make like ridiculous farm food, like make giant biscuits that were like a foot tall, kind of thing. Yeah.
The big biscuits. But it's, I don't know. I enjoy the journey. When I was in corporate America, I mean, I do miss some money and I miss some of the benefits at times and some of the people. But for the most part, it's really nice to be able to do your thing your way. And to be able to sustain, there's no non-negotiables, as I call them. You have to pay your staff, you have to keep the bills, the lights on, you have to pay your bills. Right. But you meet some incredible people doing that. I mean, case in point. I mean, Will is like, hey, this guy's coming in. I'm like, oh, what the hell are we getting into?
Look out now.
What's going to happen next? But it's just kind of, That's what I like. That kind of serendipitous
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Well, and you're not an asshole, so people want you around, and then you can cook. So it's getting better and better by the second. You like to drink wine. I haven't heard anything bad yet.
Yeah, it's the day's young. When you have the cake, you
Yeah.
be like,
man.
This show's scrapped. We're not doing this damn thing.
Listen, everybody, my round cake. Woo! Yeah. Okay, so tell me about the table thing, the Ocho thing too. What is it again?
So there's 8 seats. We're sitting around it. So this is where it is.
Okay.
I have a shotgun kitchen, and we have 2 1950s Formica tables, just like Grandma used to have.
Yeah.
And 8 people sign up on the website. You either buy all 8 seats, or you buy 1 or 2.
Right.
And you come at 6:30. Light bites are on the table. First course comes out at 7. My wife does front of house. I do back of house, and it's just the 2 of us.
Wow.
So we're actually clearing the place. We're bringing the plates out.
Yeah.
Some of it's family style. Some of it's plated. But it's almost 90% always local. And
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, and it's, you're here from first course is out at 7. Last course comes out about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And if it's friends, last course usually comes out about 10:30 or 11. Because
Right.
then we're on my pace.
Right. Yes.
But if it's people that I don't know that are paying, then, I try to bring it in a little bit closer. And then from a wine perspective, we truly, I don't do by the glass, we do by the bottle. So we average a bottle and a half a person, which, sounds like a lot, and I guess it is a lot for some people, but you're here 5 hours. So,
Yeah, you're here 5 hours.
5, 6 glasses and Uber, and, with the modern advances of that, that's kind of a nice thing.
It is. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can describe your place here. Where it's a long, skinny, almost like, I don't know, just like a crepe shop where you'd have like a bar. You just walk in and 20 feet back, and you're pretty deep into this place. And then
This is it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a commercial kitchen, but it's not a very big kitchen. But in the front, you have a one table restaurant, really,
Yeah, 1 seating a night.
Yeah, 1 seating a night, and by the way, I'm going to make a bunch of rum cakes during the day and everything else. So you must.
In December, we don't. Well, December is when I really crank in.
Okay.
September, October, November, December, in the rum cake season. But we bake throughout the year. But then I vacuum seal them, and I have a fulfillment company, so I freeze them and we ship them out.
Okay.
So that it's not a just in time anymore.
Right.
But yeah, during December, if you walk in, there's rum cakes everywhere. So, and then you bribe your friends. It's like, hey, come make boxes with me, or put stickers on boxes or on cakes.
Yeah.
And all it takes is wine and rum.
Wine and friends and rum. What? All right. So the fair question. What's next? What the heck you got? You have to have something else up your sleeve. You're going to start selling rum, obviously, but what else?
Yeah, I think just staying. I don't know. This year, it's just kind of keep your head down and just keep going.
If you like the show,
and you know you do,
send us some pictures of your movies.
don't do that. Support the show.
There are 3 ways you can support us.
Number 1, go to iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And leave a 5-star rating and review.
It helps with the show metrics and helps us get better placement. Number 2,
Visit our website.
www.breakitdownshow.com.
We've got an Amazon and an eBay link.
Same Amazon, same eBay, you know and love, but they give us a little kickback when you get to their site from ours. And number 3, leave comments about the shows that you like. We want to know what you think, how you feel.
Tell us how to make the show better. We greatly appreciate it.
Now back to the show.
We like boobies.
We've about 80% of my clients are individuals. Like I have my biggest market by far is California.
Okay.
And then Florida's number 2, and then New York and Kansas City are tied for 3rd. And then we have kind of sprinkled markets around the country. But I don't know. I'm just going to keep my head down and just keep going. Every year we seem to grow. Last year we did 34,000 last year. The year before was 27. The year before that was 19,000.
Right.
So it's just kind of maintaining the quality. I don't know. It seems like there's always something that comes up. So, but yeah, I don't know. The Ochos seem to be.
It's a great idea. Yeah. So
and it's the way we entertain. It's
can
the way
you?
My wife and I have entertained for years.
Okay. So you guys you're almost just doing what you would do normally at home. You're just doing it in your place of business. Yeah. And will there be more locations?
No, I hope not. I mean, it's just me.
Right, because you can't replicate yourself. So this is really a Craig experience kind of thing.
The only thing that everybody shares, I think, is 24 hours in a day. And what do you want to do with those 24 hours? And I think once you start outsourcing, you have to outsource certain things, granted, in business. But once you start outsourcing, like for the Ocho experience, I don't think it'd be the same.
Right. Yeah, it's one thing to pay someone to package and mail cakes off, because you don't need to do that. There's no experience in that. That's just a function. But to entertain you and your wife doing what you guys do,
and to do it our way is really, and she has a full-time job. I mean, she's at Google, and then she comes in and does this. And, to do it our way is really, really nice. And like sometimes when we have people in here doing articles, or sometimes when people are coming in and having dinner, they're like, is this even legal? And it's like, oh, hell yeah. I have my insurance. I have 5 different licenses over there.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, why aren't you open every night of the week? Why don't you have more? Why don't you make it bigger?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to make it bigger.
It's the right size.
I think 8's the number.
8 is the number. Yeah, that's fantastic. It is a great concept. Now, do you guys eat with the guests?
No, otherwise we'd be here until like 2.
Oh, okay.
So, like when I said this kind of happened. This is the way we used to entertain at our house, and I remember people would bitch. They'd say, good Lord, we don't eat until like 10:30 at your house. It's like you've been eating for the last 5 hours. You just may not have the main course until 10:30 or 11.
Right.
And one of my buddies, Jonathan Justice, up at Smithville, had a friend that went over to his house. And he said Jonathan called and invited him over. So he went out at like 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And he said about 12 o'clock, midnight, Jonathan fired up the grill.
Yeah.
About 2:30, he put the meat on the grill. And I'm like, that's just badass. That's the way it should be. When you're cooking for yourself, you do it at your pace.
Right.
And with this, we're able to kind of cook it, at our pace, but we bring it in a little bit. And we've had people from San Fran, from San Francisco, from LA, all over just fly in just for this.
Right.
Wine list is cool. I have $25 a bottle. I have wine bottles that are $25, and I have wine bottles that are $450.
Right.
And we get to do some cool CEO stuff. We get to do some just everyday average Joe stuff. And
Right.
the CEOs love it because there's one seating, and this is it.
Yeah.
When they're here with their direct reports, you don't have to listen. It's deaf ears. And you don't have to worry about anybody looking to see what you're ordering, what you're talking about. And man, if the walls could talk, it's cool. We've had some really, really good people in here and some pretty lively conversations.
So it's called Table Ocho?
Yep, Table Ocho.
And you can go to what website to book?
For that one, you can do tableocho.com.
Okay.
And then,
but you guys are only in the KC area doing that most of the time?
Unless, I travel. But yeah. I go to California quite a bit, but I mean, I've been known to travel and stay at buddies' houses and do private events.
Sure.
But yeah, typically it's here.
Okay. Well, the reason why I ask is that obviously we're primarily a California-based show. That's where John and I are
I'm
from.
coming out to your show.
Oh, okay. No, hey, listen, we're going to cook for you. How about that? You come out.
I'll bring the pan.
Yeah. Okay. Oh man, we'll do paella. Right now, John is a vegan. Right now, he's trying to do like a 30-day vegan thing. No, he'll get over it. Let's us also understand that. I think yesterday he put up a picture and all it was a wall of spam. And he's from Guam, so spam's a big part of his life. So it's we'll have to cook and everything. Oh yeah, yeah. All right, so that's called Table Ocho, and then tell us about the rum cakes and how we find and eat those.
So the rum cakes, I'm actually in 2 retail outlets by choice. We've done the big, the Dean and DeLuca phase, but I'm at Calmart in Calistoga, north of Napa.
Sure.
And then I'm here at McGonigal's retail, and I ship nationwide. So if you need it, you just go to the website, which is judesrumcake.com, JUDES.
Okay.
And Jude's my mother-in-law.
Right.
So Judy. So.
And is she involved in the process, or she just gets the credit?
She gets the credit because back when I was working corporate America and I was going to be the rum cake king of the world, we were getting some nice press in New York and showing the cakes all over the country.
Right.
She would stay up till like 3 a.m. cooking for me.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
This is my homage to you.
Right. I'm not going to give you a nickel a cake or nothing, but
yeah. Maybe a dime.
Maybe a dime. Okay. So that's that. And then the other part is the catering part. Tell us about that one.
Yeah. And that's just Belly Up Barbecue.
Belly Up Barbecue.
So I make custom seasonings. And then, we do private events.
And what's the website for that?
BellyUpBarbecue.com.
Okay.
BBQ.
And people can get barbecue seasonings, that kind. And this is KC, so it's one of the homes of barbecue, the best barbecue there is.
Yeah. And ironically, I don't make sauce. So.
Right. Yeah.
But, I use peach wood from about 50 miles from here.
How do you know to make peach? How do you even know that?
Just trial and error. I mean, I've been doing it probably 15 years, 20 years. And I think it's a matter of just, you get accustomed to your style. And then you're kind of like, well, this is the way I do it.
Yeah.
And, it's like I'm not trying to be everything to everyone. This is how I do it. And this is what I do.
Yeah.
So, and even with Ochos, I mean, I always have a grill. You'll have to walk back and take a look. I have this old 1950s grill that I paid $5 at a garage sale that I cook on.
Right. Yeah.
And then I have just a traditional Weber, but that's it. When people walk back, they're like, you're doing a 4-inch thick cut steak on that damn.
Yeah.
How the hell do you?
Yeah.
But, it's like, you just got to know.
That's just what I do. It's
know how to do it, I guess.
That's your
reckless abandon.
Reckless abandon. Where's my paella pan?
Yeah.
How do you know if you're going to make paella or not? Like, how do you know when it's paella night? What's the trigger when you say tonight is paella night?
Usually Wednesdays, Thursdays,
okay.
Fridays, and then sometimes I'll throw in wine. But when I'm doing the Ochos, I'm getting ready to do my dates for May, June, July.
Right.
And we'll do paella usually 2-3 nights in a row. And like when the radishes are in season, I grill radishes and put it in paella. And my paella is more old school.
Okay.
I mean, I've done the saffron. I've made the pretty one before, but I go more old school traditional, kind of like my version of the story, the way I interpreted it back in Valencia and the town square. At the end of the week, people would show up with all their leftovers, and they would just do like a big hodgepodge of, with rice and snails and whatnot.
Yeah.
And with me, I mean, I throw in radishes. I have usually a little bit of lamb. I have chorizo. I do arugula at the tail end, and it just kind of works. I mean, it's not like beautiful. It's not like, but it's real. And the flavors are so many layers of flavor in that. And I just saw on Facebook one of my buddies did paella last night.
Yes.
And he does like the rabbit belly and he does the snails, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But we had a paella off probably like 2 years ago, and down at Rieger, Howard. And one of my winemaker buddies was in town, and they were totally at different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But it was a tie. I mean, they were like, oh my God, I love this, because it's just very peasant. But then with Howard's, it was just like beautiful, and both of them they were just different.
Right.
But they were both right. So, and it paired well with the wine. So it was
that's one of those things where everybody can win. Because everybody's having perfect paella, and you're happy, and you have wine, great company.
And then we did rum cake and mezcal.
Yeah. How come no one makes tequila cake?
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's an opportunity.
Yeah, maybe. Pete's tequila cake. It looks like it comes in a bottle.
Yeah.
And there's really no cake involved. And there's no pants involved, because if you know Pete, there's no pants. But
that may not be a good thing.
No,
Step away from the grill. Be careful.
Yeah. Okay, so I was going to ask you about. I think my question was about the paella thing. Oh, okay, yeah. So, what about like regional recipes? Do you try to we're Bay Area folks, so do you guys try to do like a sourdough bread kind of thing? Do you ever make cioppino or any of those like Bay Area type things at all?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, my cookbooks range from probably the 30s through modern day. And, I do a lot of different risottos. We'll do some cioppino.
Yeah.
I don't do a whole lot of sauces.
Okay.
And like I grew up in Mississippi, and I lived in El Paso for a while, so I kind of have that Cajun Creole influence.
Right.
And then the Southwestern influence as well.
Sure.
But we travel a lot.
Yeah,
we just got back from Chile, and we stayed in this little ocean town, little windsurfer town, called Matanzas. 100 people live there year round, and there's 3 restaurants and 2 fishing boats. So the boats go out in the morning, and when they come back,
that's
3 chefs of the restaurants are sitting there, and you stand in line right behind them, and that's that day. What was it? It was like a mackerel of sorts. I can't remember the name of the fish. It was like an indigenous whatever.
Right.
But yeah, they sit there and they fillet it for you right there on the boat, and it's very rustic and old school.
Yeah.
So, and when we travel, I always take a corkscrew, and I take usually a knife bag, and you just you get into trouble.
Yeah, reckless abandon. You try to find out what's going on, and then you going to the other restaurants too and seeing what they're doing with their regional thing.
Yep. And then with California, I mean, when I'm out there, I usually hit farmers markets. I get fresh seafood, so I'll typically bring the beef and the lamb out from here, just because I like the Midwest. Yeah. But in California, whether I'm doing like uni or sea urchin or whatever, or if I'm doing salads, I mean, I always try to do seasonal. So and it seems to work. And then you're pulling in. So like I did a event at one of the wineries, Melville, and Chad asked me, he goes, hey, I've got this really kick-ass farmer. Do you want me to bring in some stuff? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, what do you want? I'm like, just bring it in. I don't care. Yeah. And and then we had some second push tomato plants down in Santa Barbara area that when I was driving up to Paso to do that event. Yeah. Well, actually, he's in Solvang, not Paso. But when I was close to there. I picked up some
Right.
of the second push tomatoes and just beautiful.
Yeah.
And, it's,
What makes an incredible farmer, though? I mean, like you put things in the ground and it comes up and you harvest it. I mean,
what makes a great restaurant?
Yeah.
It's like back when I was younger, I would think it was all about me or the way I prepared it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just try not to mess it up. And honestly, one of the most stressful dinners I've had was for my farmers.
Oh, yeah?
Because I don't cook like a lot of people do. I don't
Right.
color by the numbers. And that's not a slam on anybody.
Right.
But it's like I just try to keep it simple: salt, pepper, olive oil, quality
Yeah.
ingredients. And I just wanted, when my farmers were here, I was like, oh my God, I hope they get what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
It's nostalgic flavors. It's kind of like grandma used to cook, or like your parents cooked. And
Sure.
it's one of my fulfilling things is when people are sitting here, they're like, well, hell, I can do this.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
So I want to bring Will into the conversation, whether he wants to come in or not. And I'm gonna bring in our war side, because Will and I are warriors, and we both are known to have a beard. But one of the things that I found, Will, is you're still in this thing. I'll pass the mic to him. So you're still talking. So one of the things
when I'm done, do I drop the mic?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. But you just do the thank you, unite, and Axl Rose, throw it down, and then walk off. So one of the things I found, Will, is that the Americans, when we show up, we're great at showing up to your place and be like, hey, we're the Americans, we're here, and the poor person receives us, and they're like, of course I'm a good host, because everybody wants to be, and we have guns. We're like a bike gang. I mean, the worst bike gang in the world. You just show up and, like, I better cook for these guys. Honey, get the risotto ready. Get my paella pan. Yeah. But what I found is that when you reverse the role and you take that person you're trying to influence and trying to create trust, if you cook for them, even if we did a taco night and it was as best as we could do, like we, mailed things in and it's not fresh and everything else, but that chance to break bread and flip and give them a chance to be cooked for, to be shown the cultural exchange, instead of just saying, give me, take, and give something back. Have you experienced anything like that? Have you seen anybody else cooking for an Afghan, for an Iraqi or whatever?
We have failed miserably at cooking, but it was always a relationship builder, because then the next week they're like, so you guys cooked us this fried chicken, and it was pretty god-awful, but it was saved by whatever barbecue sauce or hot sauce you put on it. And so the next week they come in and they cook for us. Some of the best meals I've ever had were surprise meals where an Afghan guy was like, hey, I'm making some lamb. You guys make sure your patrol's coming by here at this time, and we're going to have some lamb, and everybody's going to eat. And so while our meal was a complete failure because none of us could cook, it was a relationship builder, and I think that's the essence of what we've been talking about today. Is it's not about the food, it's about the relationship.
Well, also, don't you think too? It's kind of like sharing a part of your soul. It's and especially in that situation. I mean, I don't think it gets any closer, from a friendship standpoint than that.
Yeah,
or respect, maybe not friendship, but similar.
Absolutely. And I had one experience, and so it doesn't matter how far away from home you are, people are exactly the same. So I was eating chicken with a district governor one time, just one-on-one, and in the mid-meal, he puts his hand over my food, and he doesn't speak English, but he says, stop. And very serious, looks panicked. He goes to the corner of the room, starts rummaging around, looking like crazy, like a madman trying to find something, finds it, hides it behind his back, comes back, and pulls out a bottle of sriracha.
Oh,
so
fun.
it's a district in northern Helmand. It's like middle of nowhere, and this guy's got a bottle of sriracha, and that's like his, I'm going to show off today.
That's a special
Here's
thing,
sriracha
right?
that I'm putting on your chicken.
I love
And
it.
you never see that coming, and then when it hits you in the face, you're in awe of how different lives can be, but how similar they are at the same time.
Yeah, it's the governor's reserve stock. Hey, hang on, wait 1 second.
You have any scotch next to that sriracha?
You'd be surprised.
I like to say wherever there's Muslims, there's Jack Muslims, and I love those dudes. 'Cause it's great when the guy looks around. He's like, because he sees that I've got the beard, and he sees that Will has the civilian clothes on, and we're with the military, but not all the way in. And they look around and they say, "Do you guys like whiskey?" And the answer to that question is yes. Of course, I love whiskey. I don't even care if I hate whiskey. Do you like lamb? Of course, I love lamb. But when it's whiskey, I'm smiling. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely had some nights where you're sitting with a district governor or district official, or usually the district officials, where they just pull out that bottle of Jack Daniels, and it's their little secret, and now it's your little secret, and you're in that circle of trust. So
And now it's everybody's little secret.
absolutely. Oh yeah. Not mentioning what district those governors are in.
But that is a big piece, especially with what Will and I do as we try to chill people out overseas. A lot of times it's just chilling us out. Because for whatever reason, in general, when you get into a new cultural setting, this is what I find. Tell me if you agree with this, Will. We forget the basics of like how we would treat other people in our own, like if you're not worried about the culture, if you're not shocked by the shoes the guy's wearing and the fact that everybody's wearing a vest, the fact that there's a train going by.
Yeah.
You forget common courtesies, things that would. That's loud. That's all right though. We love homing this. Yeah.
You don't have to pay extra for that.
No? Oh, perfect. Well, then I'm pull a dollar and put it back in my pocket. But the things that you forget that you would never do, like you would never go and just show up at someone's house unannounced or show up at an official's office. You know, this person is and what Will and I have done, like at a district, it's a county. You wouldn't show up at the county commission's door unannounced with 20 people that have guns and expect to get a good reception. But for whatever reason, and this is not just military, this is in general, this is Americans when we go abroad, because we actually go out a lot. When you show up, and you've done a lot of traveling, so you know this, like, you have to sort of maintain your center, that commonality that Will talked about, where we all love sriracha. We all want to show off our culture, but for some reason, when we're not culturally savvy, we show up and we're kind of dicks. You know, what are your experiences from being abroad?
I mean, nothing. When you can always tell the Americans, you know, the typical Americans, and you know, when we were in Chile, we went to the airport, and it's almost like, oh my God, there we are, you know. Whereas I'm with you guys. I kind of like just blend in, when in Rome, type thing.
Right. Sure.
You know. So, but yeah, I mean, I look at that. It's like kind of like a peace pipe. You know, it's kind of like just a peace offering, or just kind of like something that you share together. And I think we've been really fortunate when we travel to cook with a lot of different families.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people. And when you're a guest in someone's house, you're truly a guest in their house. And
yeah.
If they want to do all the cooking, then that's fine. But let me do the dishes, or let me do some prep, or I will just sit over in the corner and be quiet and appreciate it.
Yeah.
But typically people want to share, and they want to see what you have.
It's a real humanizing thing for sure. When we did taco night, I cooked on the Iraqi police and military's earthen cooking things. And I'm saying earthen like it's made out of clay. No, I mean, they took mud and built an altar for cooking things on, right? And what I realized was they used our discarded cardboard as fuel. So I'm using American cardboard to shove into the fire made out of the dirt stove. And I'm getting a real sense of what it's like to be them. And I'm trying to, like you, I don't know how I'm doing this. I'm just going to make these tacos as best I can, and I'm not going to worry about the fact that I don't have enough cayenne pepper. This is what I've got, and oh crap, there's no microwave, so how do I keep this warm? And you know, and there was no way to keep everything warm. There was just no way, because the grill wasn't big enough for all the food, so the cheese is going to get served cold. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm going to say, here are the tacos. Here's the only thing you're going to learn. I'm going to show you how to make one taco, and the rest of you guys can just figure, because it's tacos. You know, you just make them how you make them. But cooking on their stuff taught me huge lessons about how it was to be them on a day-to-day basis. And I don't know about for you, Will, but for me, that spoke to me in a way where I could now take that back to our commanders. Because really, what Will and I do more than anything when we're overseas is we talk to ourselves and make us be more open and receptive to what the other people are going through. When you understand that they're trying to cook on a piece of cardboard, that sounds horrible, but to them, that's everyday life.
Yeah. One of the conversations I've had more times than I should have to have with adults is I talk about your best friend's grandma. And one thing people in the military, when they're deployed, they don't understand. They think, I've got a gun, I've got body armor, I'm coming in and I'm doing what I want. But the golden rule is your best friend's grandma's house. Everywhere you go, you've got to, you don't put your feet on the couch. I mean, you mind your P's and Q's. And it's amazing, once people accept that rule, it's amazing how much more progress they make when they're working with an Afghan or an Iraqi soldier. Just the golden rule, your best friend's grandma. If she was standing there looking at you, how are you going to behave? And if it's any different than how you're behaving right now, then check yourself and start behaving.
Yeah, I think that's just humans in general. I mean, I think regardless of what culture you're in, if you're traveling abroad, if you're domestic, I mean, that's, it's kind of a stretch, but not necessarily. Like here, it's be nice or leave. And I haven't kicked anybody out yet, but, but it's almost like, no, this is be nice. Life is short.
I was actually about to bring that up. I was about to use your be nice or leave thing, because when you have, and listen, Will and I, we love our military brothers and sisters. We do. But when you're 22 years old and you're jacked up on cap, and I'm hopping up and down on my butt muscles, I'm like, ooh, I'm fired up. And I've got my Kevlar on, and I've got my iPro on, and I've got my finger in a ready position to shoot a gun, and you're in my house. Why don't you get the fuck out of my house? I don't have time for, look at the commander, be like, who's in charge here? These guys? I love them. They got to go, because we're doing be nice or leave around here. And we'll tell you the same thing. That is the norm. We show up and we're just like, we have to be switched on because it's a combat environment. But at some point, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be likable, and you can't just be, you have to say yes to the wine when it shows up. You have to smile a little bit. That sounds so silly to say, but gosh, we're terrible at it. We really are.
Yeah. I was just talking yesterday with a buddy about an Army captain who shit rolls downhill. So if you're a captain, there's a major that gives you a hard time when you're at your base. You get away from your base and you're a captain, you're top dog. And we walked into a meeting with some elders, and he refused to sit on the floor with everybody else, so he had a chair brought in. He refused to give up control of the conversation when it was a meeting that was going to happen whether he was there or not. He had to be in charge because he had bars on his chest, and he wanted to own it, and he didn't understand the rule of be nice or leave. And
be nice or leave, right? Now that's the law of Craig. Actually, so we're presenting a paper on Thursday at the Command and Staff General College over in Fort Leavenworth, and I'm probably about to quote you when I go do that. Be nice or leave, in general. Because we're going to present a paper on female empowerment and how tricky it is to do that in a foreign place, especially when you're talking about female hygiene and everything else. I mean, it's you have to boil things down to simple lessons, and be nice or leave. It's pretty simple,
I agree.
Thank you.
That's a mic drop moment when you say
All right, cool. So let's do it one more time. Give me all the social media stuff, Craig, so we can make sure that people can get you, and then we'll drop these mics and drink some wine.
Cool. So the social media is Craig Adcock on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, under my name. And then Table Ocho has a Facebook thing, but then you also have the websites.
Yeah.
.coms, the Table Ocho, the Belly Up Barbecue, and the Jude's Rum Cake.
All right. So if you want to have Craig come out and do up a party for you, hit him up or hit us up, and we'll hook you up. And thank you once again for being a great host.
Thank you so much.
We're excited about asparagus and everything else.
Yeah.
And
picked yesterday. First of the season.
Oh, man. That sounds good. Now we just got to find us a lamb walking around here and take that thing down and eat it. Because nothing makes me more excited than fresh lamb. Oh, man.
I agree.
All right. Thanks a lot, Craig.
Thanks.